Ask, don't tell. It's going to come up. You're going to have testimony for the Armed Services Committee. You have criticized what you believe will be in this upcoming report about how the military feels, saying, no, this was about how are we going to implement it, not about how the military feels. I know you got a letter from Robert Gates, the Defense Secretary, which said in part to you, I do not believe that military policy decisions should, on this or any other subject, be subject to referendum of service members. In other words, you know, what the service members, how they would vote is sort of immaterial to what we're trying to do. Doesn't he have a point?
Well, I think he certainly has a point. I would also certainly say that we should remember where this all started. There was no uprising in the military. There was no problems in the military with don't ask, don't tell. It was a political promise.
There was a problem.
No, it wasn't, because it wasn't a problem, because you didn't have, it's called don't ask, don't tell, okay? If you don't ask somebody, we don't ask somebody, and they don't tell, and it's an all-volunteer force, okay? Now, I understand your point of view, and I understand the point of view by the majority of the media, but the fact is, this was a political promise made by an inexperienced president or candidate for presidency of the United States. The military is at its highest point in recruitment and retention, in professionalism and capability. So to somehow allege that this policy has been damaging the military is simply false. So the fact is that this system is working, and I believe that we need to assess the effect on the morale and battle effectiveness of those people that those young Marines and Army people I met in forward operating bases that are putting their lives on the line every day. This is an all-volunteer force. And if we want to make sure that morale and battle effectiveness is maintained, that's why people like the Commandant of the Marine Corps has come out against repeal. Now, if you want to call him a racist and others, and the sergeants and others that I have...
point out the Defense Secretary and the head of the Joint Chiefs of Staff think it's a good idea. But can I ask you this?
And they have said that, and the four service chiefs have all had reservations to one degree or another. Now, I have great respect for the Secretary of Defense, and I have great respect for the Secretary, for the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. I have great respect for the service chiefs, and I have great respect to the men and women who are serving, particularly the sergeants and the chief petty officers, who are the ones that make the military work.
Integration of any sort has always come, whether it's racial, whether it's gender. Doesn't it require leadership rather than followership? And in other words, yes, it matters how the military feels, but don't you need to lead when it comes to a matter of integration, which definitely was difficult?
Look, we're in two wars. We're in two wars. I ran with a master sergeant in a forward operating base outside Kandahar who had 5 tours in Iraq and Afghanistan. He said, and a number of them came to me and said, look, we fight together, we sleep together, we eat together. I want to know the effect of our ability to win this conflict. That's what we're saying. I want to know the effect on battle effectiveness and morale, not on how best to implement a change in policy. I don't think that's a lot to ask when we have our young men and women out there serving and fighting, and tragically, some of them dying.
I have less than 30 seconds here, but I have to ask.